100 years ago, the journey of flight began with the Wright brothers and their dual propeller glider, powered by a gasoline engine. This groundbreaking achievement realized a dream that had lingered in the human imagination for centuries. References to flying machines or devices that could allow humans to fly can be found in many ancient mythologies. But are these really legends? In the late 19th century, an archaeological expedition discovered a bird-shaped artifact, among other items in a tomb in Saqqara, dating back to the year 200 BC. Made of sycamore maple wood, a sacred tree associated with the goddess Hathor and symbolizing immortality, and bearing an inscription with the words Padi Imen, meaning Amun's gift. The artifact is an interesting find. This artifact, found during an excavation in 1898, was initially thought to be a simple bird model. However, its unusual features soon raised questions. Unlike typical bird models, this artifact lacked carvings to depict feathers. This led to various theories about its purpose. Some suggested it was a ritual object, a toy, or a weather vane to be placed on sacred boats to indicate wind direction. This last theory is supported by some New Kingdom reliefs found in the Khonsu temple. The first to think differently about the artifact was Khalil Messiha, a professor of artistic anatomy at the University of Helwan. He recognized in the unusual bird what seemed to be the scale model of a glider, albeit one missing its tail. His bold hypothesis led to the artifact being referred to as the Saqqara glider, or the Pharaoh's plane. In the 1970s, the Egyptian Ministry of Culture formed a commission to investigate the mystery. The experts concurred on the uniqueness of the piece, suggesting it was not merely a toy, but a model with potential aerodynamic significance. The scientifically extraordinary model was placed among bird models in room number 22 of the Egyptian Museum, bearing the number 6347. It dates back hundreds of years before Christ, during the late period in Kemet, modern-day Egypt. Discovered in Saqqara in 1898, the model is made of sycamore figwood and weighs 39 grams. The tail unit is made from a single piece of wood, with a wingspan of exactly 18 centimeters. It has a dihedral angle, which is slightly unequal on both sides due to a slight distortion of the wood, caused by degradation over time. The fuselage is made of the same wood as the tail unit, and has a wonderfully sculpted aerodynamic shape that is very smooth. Its nose has a pyramidal shape, with an eye painted on the right side. The thickness increases towards the back in the direction of the tail, with the thickest part supporting the wing. The fuselage has a heart-shaped profile that tapers into a narrow fishtail shape, with an elliptical profile for 2/3 of its length. The last third is the tail, which forms an integral part of the fuselage. There is a grooved rectangular section to hold the rear tail unit, which is 3 centimeters long. The upper surface of the tail unit is at the same level as the fuselage. The lower part of the tail is broken, suggesting that the rear tail unit was attached there. Interestingly, there are no decorative traces of feathers painted on this fuselage except for the eye and 2 faded reddish lines surrounding the underside under the grooves. There are also no legs or marks, suggesting the kind of structures found on other ancient Egyptian bird models. Guigis Messiha, Khalil Messiha's brother, commented on the model's design. The negative dihedral of this model has the same effect as a positive dihedral and gives the model good flight stability. The wing profile shows that the wing surface is an elliptical section, which allows for good flight stability. In general, the fuselage has an aerodynamic shape that reduces drag, a scientific fact discovered after many years of experimental work in aeronautics. Guigis Messiha created a similar model in balsa wood, adding the rear tail unit, which he assumes was lost. He was not surprised to find that this model could glide for a few meters when thrown by hand. At that time of its initial discovery in the 1800s, no one knew much about airplanes, and the model was classified as a bird. For many years, it was kept in a glass display case with other birds until a young Egyptian doctor and artist noticed that it was different from the birds. The difference was striking because birds have horizontal tails, while airplanes have vertical tails. The piece in question had a vertical tail and wings completely different from those of birds, but exactly similar to those of an airplane. The glider, made of sycamore, has a decidedly futuristic look and closely resembles the American Hercules transport plane, which has a very distinctive double dihedral tail. Dr. Messiha, who conducted a study on these bird silhouettes, accidentally discovered this glider model in 1969 while examining a display case of bird models in one of the Cairo Museum's storage areas. I was looking for unusual objects when I found this very special model. It looked very much like the model airplanes I used to make 20 years ago, he said. Most of the bird silhouettes that have been discovered were often half man, half bird, but this one was different. It was in a display case containing relics found in Saqqara in 1898. The model represents a high-wing monoplane and weighs 39 grams. The aerodynamically shaped tail is in one piece with a wingspan of 18 centimeters. Viewed from the front, the wingtips drop slightly. The fuselage has a heart-shaped profile and takes on a narrow elliptical shape towards the tail. It's the tail that is truly the most interesting and distinguishes this model from all the others that have been discovered, said Dr. Messiha. At the end of the fuselage is a vertical fin. According to Dr. Messiha, no known bird species has a rudder-like fin, certainly not in Egypt. No bird can perform this kind of contortion with the end of its body and match the shape of this model. Additionally, there is a groove under the fin for a rear rudder, which is absent. All other bird models always carried rich paintings and attachments for legs or marks, suggesting that such attachments existed before. This particular model has no legs and only very slight traces of a painted eye on one side of the nose and two very faint reddish lines under the wing and around the fuselage. Dr. Messiha points out that the making of this model involved enormous work and great skill to achieve such precise aerodynamic shaping of the tail. It is certain that many attempts must have been made before achieving this perfection. The Cairo Museum, at least, takes it seriously enough to host a special exhibition on airplanes. The model is displayed on a velvet stand in a rather incongruous lead-lined case, surrounded by more conventional bird models. The discovery of the Saqqara glider challenges our understanding of ancient Egyptian technology and their knowledge of aerodynamics. It suggests that the ancient Egyptians may have experimented with flight long before the modern era, potentially rewriting the history of aviation. As researchers continue to investigate this remarkable artifact and other similar discoveries, we may uncover even more about the advanced technological capabilities of ancient civilizations.
Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter.